This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, the government is due to discuss closer tourism relations with Australia. A world-renowned bass baritone has relocated his family to his hometown for the foreseeable future. And Southern people are being given the opportunity to chance their arms as a new arm wrestling club hunts for members. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. The promise of a trans-Tasman travel bubble is to be discussed by Cabinet on Monday. The Minister for Tourism has now visited the struggling tourist destination of Te Anau as part of his first tour of the South.
One region hurting from a lack of overseas tourists is Southland, especially Te Anau, which serves as the gateway to spectacular fjordland scenery such as Milford Sound. Tourism Minister Stuart Nash has now visited the region for the first time.
I hadn't been down to Te Anau or Invercargill, so it's a great opportunity to come down. But also, it's also listening as well, so I can take back the stories that people are telling me. I can take that back to Cabinet when we're talking about the Trans-Tasman bubble, and just relay to my colleagues what I've seen on the ground from a community that's doing it really hard.
Monday will see Cabinet ministers discussing the opening of a trans-Tasman travel bubble, possibly in mid to late April. But Nash warns the bubble alone won't bring tourism numbers back up to full capacity.
Well, I've been very clear that I don't think to all touring businesses, don't expect to see busloads of Brits, Americans, Japanese, Chinese traversing our motorways up and down this country before 2022. In terms of Trans-Tasman bubble though, that is something we're working really hard to open up, obviously before the end of the year, but as soon as we possibly can.
Locals in Te Anau want to make sure they won't be forgotten, and they're asking for the borders to be reopened as soon as possible.
Well, the Minister didn't come here with any promises, and we certainly weren't expecting any promises. We certainly want an open dialogue with the Minister, and we achieved that today. And it's up to Cabinet as to when that bubble will actually open between Australia and New Zealand. All we indicated to him was the sooner the better.
Last year saw the government invest $400 million in tourism recovery, with 11 tourism businesses in the south receiving over $5 million. But local councillor Abel Kramer says the fabric and tourism infrastructure of towns such as Te Anau is still under threat as they wait for overseas tourists to be allowed back.
When the bubble does open, when our borders open again, that we actually have a community that can help provide those services to our visitors. The last thing we want is that when visitors do return, if there's no restaurants here, if there's no accommodation, they won't enjoy that experience. So really we need to figure out how we can keep our businesses here, how we can support them during this time. And as soon as that bubble opens with Australia, of course, that will help immensely. So it's really about looking after those businesses to ensure that we've still got something here. We need this community here.
In Te Anau, the South Today.
Police have released CCTV footage in an effort to track down a couple who may have seen an Invercargill man missing for more than a month. Raymond Horn, who has dementia, walks with a limp and is non-verbal, went missing from a rest home in the suburb of Richmond in Invercargill on Monday the 15th of February. Today police released CCTV footage of a couple who were in Queen's Park on that day and may have seen him. Police hope to be able to identify the couple and to speak to them. Anyone with information that can help is asked to contact the police on 105. International opera singer Jonathan Leilamo is still getting used to being recognised in the street by people stopping for a chat, saying it seldom happened in London. The world-renowned bass baritone has relocated his family to his hometown, which looks like being his base for a while.
To the opera world, Dunedin-born bass baritone Jonathan Leilamo is better known like this.
But we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye.
Rather than sitting at a cafe in Dunedin. But the University of Otago graduate is basing himself in his hometown due to COVID-19 and family reasons.
I guess the biggest thing is Mum hasn't been well, and so you're already a long way away, and then when things like quarantine happen, it feels you get even further away. So the biggest reason is January 1st lockdown happened again for schools, and my wife and I looked at each other and said, well, maybe this is a sign that we should try and get back.
Taking a break from international stages, like in Ireland or America, he says he and the family are thankful to be back in New Zealand.
I just can't stop feeling grateful, to be honest, and I know it sounds really cheesy, but sitting here talking to people, walking in supermarkets and things is still quite surreal, I have to say. We're so used to being masked, we're so used to hopefully creating space and social distancing that to have this, it feels like a parallel universe somehow. Just really grateful.
He says being around people unmasked in public is taking some getting used to, as well as getting into the family routines, like getting the kids to school.
And then to get back here and settle in and see the kids go to school and kindy and just think, okay, well, that's them done. You know, to be honest, I think Sandra and I are still struggling a little bit with the day-to-day normality in a way. You know, we're used to contingencies and we're used to I guess, a slightly abnormal life. So it's been weird, but I mean, it's been a good weird, my goodness.
After a sometimes brutal year of cancelled musical work in pandemic-hit London, he enjoyed singing recently at a graduation, but says he wasn't sure if the old pipes would remember to work.
And I was standing there going, I'm not sure if I know how to do this anymore. You know, I practiced and the adrenaline was there, and I opened my mouth and I thought, yeah, this isn't as second nature as it normally is. I normally sing at least once a day for the last 35 years.
The Dunedin-trained singer is soon to launch a nationwide concert and masterclass tour. Dunedin is due to have one concert at the tour's biggest venue, the Dunedin Town Hall, on May the 9th. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The Otago Regional Council is proposing to increase general rates by more than 70%. When targeted rates are included, the proposed increase goes up by 47% in 2021 to 2022. The other option is to borrow to pay for increased spending, smoothing the rate rises over the next decade. Councillors will discuss the plan at a meeting in Oamaru on Wednesday before putting it out for consultation. Chairman Andrew Noon says the proposed rise for an average household will be about $8. Noon says Otago has historically some of the lowest rates in the country, but that is no longer sustainable. Last year's nationwide COVID-19 lockdown inspired many activities when people were unable to work. In South Otago, one man discovered watching arm wrestling on YouTube and is now making a fist of it in his hometown.
Grimacing with the effort and grunting like a tennis player. Such are the joys of competitive arm wrestling. South Otago man Dean Willis was inspired to start the Otago Unleashed Arm Wrestling Club during last year's COVID-19 lockdown.
Okay, through the lockdown last year for COVID, I got hooked on watching videos of arm wrestling competitions, and with Devon Larat and Mike Todd the Beast, and then I looked up a New Zealand guy, Materia Morrison, I think his name is Morris, and he's 8th in the world, and I just got really hooked on it and thought, oh, I could do that, and let's set a club up.
In the great Kiwi DIY tradition, Willis did some online research and put together a proper arm wrestling table to the correct specifications.
I built the table from scratch, just saw pictures off the internet, so it's the right dimensions and everything.
He began training and made some mistakes, researched more and corrected his training regime. And from there, Willis set about inviting people to join the newly formed club.
Then I thought to myself, well, how am I going to get people into this? So I thought I'd just put a day out there where we're all going to get a day where we get together and try and learn about it. So it's not so much about trying to beat each other, it's about just trying to learn and see what's involved, and show them a few techniques in the gym and on the table.
Willis says he's no expert, but he hopes by forming an arm wrestling club, he and others keen to learn can share knowledge and grow stronger together. In Balclutha, the South Today.
Still to come on the South today. Increased vandalism and alcohol-related disorderly behaviour results in an increase in police patrols in a rural town. And we have our first episode of Football Chat for you as the start of the season kicks off. So catch this and more after the break.
TV, our favourite babysitter, but it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, it's Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores have got a deal for you. We're going hard, we're going early, so we've gone hard on the prices, 50% off, a great selection. Shorts, look at all these shorts. T-shirts, they're all half price. Check out all those tees along there. What about all these ones down here? Also at a great saving, 50% off. We're going hard, we're going early. Polo shirts, short sleeve shirts. There's such a variety.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
It's the Alex Campbell Menswear. Go hard, go early, summer sale. Don't miss this one.
Absolutely good time, you should come.
Welcome back. Police are increasing their patrols in a rural town after a rise in complaints from residents about vandalism and alcohol-related acts by teenagers. Residents in the picturesque village of Arrowtown near Queenstown have reported several times of antisocial behaviour at night and at weekends, including vehicle and property damage, noise and poor driving behaviour. Police say the youth, some as young as 14, are congregating in Arrowtown from all over the Queenstown area. Police have moved on groups of up to 20 young people, but no one so far has been charged or issued with a formal warning. The Football Southern Premiership season kicks off this weekend. In our first episode of Football Chat, we talk with a player for Dunedin Technical and the coach of Green Island Football Clubs.
G'day and welcome back to a new season of Football Chat, where we talk about all the action in the men's and women's local Premier League football. Really exciting to be kicking into the season, middle of March, but we're right into the thick of it with action across both Premier Leagues. I've got Hannah Mackay-Wright from Dunedin Tech and Shane Carvell from Green Island, head coach there. Thanks for coming in today, guys. Must be so exciting. It's great to have a couple of members of the teams that won each of the Premier Leagues last season. Shane, starting with you there with Green Island, well, such an incredible season last year. Has it all sort of sunk in now after a few months?
Yeah, I guess just looking back, it was a whirlwind type of season for us. We had a few things, to be fair, that aligned. 11 from 11 was our starting sort of run.
And it was unreal.
It was amazing, just the injury sort of way that it all fell into place for us. Like basically every week for 11 weeks, I could pretty much start the same 11.
Yeah.
So I think all up, we did our team photo at the end of the year. I used 17 players, which is pretty unheard of to be fair.
Brilliant. Yeah, and Hannah, on Dunedin Tech's front, it's a bit of a different story with having dominated the league so much. 8 consecutive titles, like you'd have to be pretty mad to bet against Tech again this season. But so how does the team keep the motivation each year to just keep trying to push yourselves?
The girls are a great group, and as Shane said, like we've got a target on our back now, and we have for a while, but I feel like it kind of fuels us as well to keep us on top, and yeah, we all motivate each other, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and the season, middle of March, kicking into the season already. A lot of players are only just sort of back in town, so it's probably been quite a compressed pre-season in that as well, has it?
Yeah, pre-season is pretty hard for us, and I feel like most of the teams down here as well, with everyone kind of staggered coming back, which is always hard, but we just get into it straight away, and I feel like we've had a few games now, so it's bringing us back together, and we always kind of gel pretty fast, which is nice.
So game there, 12:30 at Ellis Park, Rosamai Carey hosting Mosgiel. And look, I think it sounds like it might be a bit of a new look Rosamai Carey squad this year. A lot of youth. They've lost a couple of their more experienced players there, but they've certainly got some exciting players, young ones coming through the ranks. So you'd be expecting them to pick up a win there against Mosgiel?
Yeah, you'd think so, but Mosgiel I feel like are improving each year and kind of maturing as well, so it'll be good to see. Yeah, and the Uni Seconds and Green Island not starting their season, I don't think, until the following weekend. So look, really exciting weekend of football ahead, and with other grades not really kicking off their seasons for a few weeks, we could get some really good crowd, especially if there's some good weather in that. And I know that a lot of the clubs like Rosamai Carey, with a couple of premier home games, they're looking to have a bit of a sort of club atmosphere day down there, which is going to be awesome. We're going to see a bit of that over the coming weeks. So make sure you get out there, watch your football, pick up a copy of today's ODT, check out the lift out, and I understand there might even be a competition that'll be getting posted on social media around that lift out as well. So keep an eye out for that. So get along to the football this weekend. Thanks to Hannah and Shane for coming in, and we'll see you next week.
After the break on the South today, we take a look at the weather heading into the weekend, and we find out which former Dunedin band will be headlining a $60 million presentation for New Zealand in Dubai. So see you after the break.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, it's Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. Our 3 stores have got a deal for you. We're going hard, we're going early, so we've gone hard on the prices, 50% off, a great selection. Shorts, look at all these shorts. T-shirts, they're all half price. Check out all those tees along there. What about all these ones down here? Also at a great saving, 50% off. We're going hard, we're going early. Polo shirts, short sleeve shirts, there's such a variety.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
It's the Alex Campbell Menswear Go Hard, Go Early summer sale. Don't miss this one.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Thanks for staying with us. Former Dunedin band 660 will be the headline act for New Zealand's $60 million presentation at Expo 2020 Dubai later this year. The band, which is named after the street number of their former flat in Dunedin's Castle Street, is expected to play for more than a week at Expo. It is regarded by the government as a part of its recovery from COVID-19, with the economy which has suffered a contraction in December that was worse than feared. The event will be a launching pad for all countries to get into international markets. About 600 representatives from private sponsors, New Zealand trade and enterprise staff, and performers and entertainers will make the trip to Dubai. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The government is due to discuss closer tourism relations with Australia, with the Trans-Tasman bubble on the cards. World-renowned bass baritone Jonathan Lalamu has relocated his family to his hometown for the foreseeable future. And Southern people are being given the opportunity to chance their arms as a new arm wrestling club hunts for members. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome Hayden Meikle. What have you got for us tomorrow?
Good evening, Mel. Well, the great news is we've got lots. Tomorrow's paper's full of all sorts of interesting stuff.
Saturday always does.
Saturday's always a good day, and our front page is looking good. So we start with council rates hikes, and who doesn't love a good rates hike story? This time it's the ORC, the Otago Regional Council, dropping a bit of a hand grenade today that most of us can expect a 73% increase in our general rates next year. So we're going to have a little table showing what that sort of means. So if your ORC rates bill was $250 a year, what's it going up to and that sort of stuff. So
I think that's more than a hand grenade.
Yeah, so we'll get some reaction to that and showing what all the figures are. And you know, we're looking at a year when DCC rates are going up and the cost of power, of course, thanks to Aurora, is going up, and people out there on fixed incomes are wondering, well, okay, that's going up, but my income's not going up. So yeah, so that's going to be certainly a well-read. That's our lead story tomorrow. And on a lighter note, some other stuff. We've got an amazing story. That's a little bit of a pun there, in case you couldn't tell.
Are you being punny?
Trying to be punny. Wols Plant and Funland, a great spot out there at Mosgiel, is opening soon, I think April. It's big new maize. It's been 5 years in the making. We've got a bit of a photo of the maize and a chat to the people out there about why they're doing it and what we can expect. So there'll be a lot of interest in that too. I think people and their families will look forward next month to that opening. It should be a lot of fun.
Well, you'd have a bit of a height advantage if you went through that.
Potentially, yes. So if you like my children, they just sort of clambered underneath walls and stuff to get to the next part of the maze. But that should be fun. And up in Palmerston, it was the 100th anniversary of the dog trials up there, the Palmerston Collie Club. And so they all got dressed up in period costume and all that sort of stuff. So we headed up there today for a bit of a look, and there's a lovely collection of photos from that club, which is still going strong. Bees, huge story on this big study on bees, backyard bees and beehives, measuring bee footprints of all things, and which shows how they track the pollen and noxious weeds get tracked all around the city. It's really quite fascinating, with a couple of great photos of blessed little bees. And finally, we have to mention the cricket, obviously. The big cricket game tomorrow. Bangladesh are here to play the Black Caps in a one-day international at the University Oval. Nearly a sold-out crowd. No doubt Dunedin will turn on a glorious day, Mel, and hopefully we get some exciting cricket down there.
Wonderful, and you can catch all of that in tomorrow's paper. And now it's time to look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, a Derek crane works on a vessel at Otago Harbour. Looking at the situation, fine for most parts tomorrow, but rather cloudy and cool on Sunday as southeasterly airflow re-establishes itself around the high pressure system incoming from the Tasman Sea. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, sun with cloud and light to moderate winds for all here. Westport reaches 18 degrees and Greymouth a slightly higher 19 degrees. Moving to the northeast up to Waipounamu. Planned for sunny weather in Nelson with light to moderate winds and 21 degrees. Blenheim is similar with a few clouds and 19 degrees. Moving to the Canterbury region, it's a sunny autumn day with a few clouds thrown in the midst with light winds. 18 degrees for both Christchurch and Ashburton, while Kaikoura reaches a slightly lower 16 degrees. Moving to the southern towns, the Catlins and Balclutha will have a fine day with light winds and 16 degrees. Lumsden and Gore all heading for 16 degrees also, but with light southerlies and some cloud. And moving to the central region, the light winds are also due to feature across central Otago with clear skies and fine weather. 19 degrees for Wanaka and Queenstown, slightly higher with 20 degrees in Alexandra, while Te Anau is due for 16 degrees and can expect light southerlies with some cloud. To the northern towns, more fine weather and light to moderate winds for the coastal towns. Oamaru heads for 17 degrees with moderate northeasterlies, with Timaru tipped to get to 18 with light easterlies. And it's light winds and fine weather moving further inland to Twizel and Omarama with slightly warmer temperatures here. Twizel set to reach 19 and Omarama 20 degrees. In Dunedin, fine and cold tonight with an overnight low of 6. Tomorrow fine with sunny periods and some cloud. The weather will become cooler later on with moderate northeasterlies. And it's cloudy from evening with a few drizzle patches, looking at a high of 16 and a low of 9. Expect cloud and rather cold weather on Sunday with light easterlies, looking at a high of 14 and a low of 9. And in Invercargill, it's going to be cold for you in Invercargill tonight with an overnight low of 5 degrees. Fine with broken cloud tomorrow and moderate southwesterlies, but a period of showers possible late afternoon and evening. Saturday sees a high of 15 and a low of 9. And it's cloudy with cold southeasterlies on Sunday with a high of 14 and a low of 9. And that's all from the South Today team for this Friday and in fact the week. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening and a lovely weekend. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.